Gotland is what we call a strategic asset. It is positioned ideally for a whole host of capabilities. Now, it was a military base until it was demilitarized some time ago, again, sort of very much in the Cold War. But what it does, it sort of sits, if you like, slightly west and behind the Baltic states. And at the moment, a lot of intelligence analysts believe that if Putin prevails in Ukraine, his next attack is going to be into the Baltic states. And certainly that's what they believe. So a key role that particularly Sweden in this case has is to create extra deterrence to the Russians so that they don't look to attack there. Now Gotland, large island, which was in the past a sort of logistics hub, an intelligence hub. I think that is the plans, and that seems to be what the Swedes and NATO are doing. It's, if you like, it's like a massive aircraft carrier. A little bit similar to Cyprus in the Eastern Mediterranean, which the UK has used so extensively for operations in the Middle East. And it's no secret that it's also a massive intelligence gathering capability for the UK with listening posts and other intelligence assets. And there are British military assets stationed there, including a lot of attack aircraft. So I think Gotland is seen as really in the sort of northern part of NATO, ability to build up not just military capability, not just hardware, fighter jets, drones, but also logistics. One of the key lessons that we're learning from the Ukraine war is you need a lot of ammunition, and you need it in a position where it can get to the front quickly. So Gotland provides that actually it is a perfect stepping off point to support the Baltic countries. Also a perfect stepping off point to support Finland as well. So it's in other terms, you might call it a forward operating base. NATO can forward put equipment, logistics, military hardware, and it will also be a key surveillance asset, intelligence gathering asset. No doubt there'll be a lot of electronic wizardry put there, but it's an ideal place for drones and other air surveillance assets to be able to jump off from. And the rapidity, the rapidness that Sweden and NATO is developing it shows how serious it is. And, well, in a certain way, people might say, well, why aren't we doing it all in secret? Well, part of deterrence is showing your enemy your hand, and that you are serious and that you have the wherewithal to do it. And I suppose the sort of the final adjunct to this is its position in the Baltic Sea. We know that there is an awful lot of Russian activity there. It's one of their key routes out into the Atlantic and elsewhere. We know there are a lot of cables going in that area, and to be able to have forces ready to react and also to cover the subsurface and surface naval activity will be key. So I think this and the fact that it's been lauded as such, this is a very key NATO asset, very much showing the Russians, we are preparing. This is what we're up to. Do not go any further west than you currently are. Otherwise, we will react. I think there are a whole wide range of threats. There is the sabotage and Russian surveillance. We already know that certain cables have been attacked. Not directly in the vicinity of Gotland, but in the Baltic Sea. We know there's an awful lot of Russian subsurface submarine activity in that area. There will be a lot of surveillance. There will be the preparation for sabotage. We have become more aware of the amount of sabotage the Russian sort of secret service is up to. It seems a pretty poor in relation to what we've seen recently with the Ukraine secret service and their sabotage. But this is the way that the Russian Secret Service acts, so that there will no doubt be a lot of surveillance activity, a lot of Russian surveillance flights as well. I mean, we're always reporting about NATO jets intercepting Russian jets in this sort of area, and in the Atlantic, it's usually their strategic bombers, but they're after the activity of the weekend, they've lost most of those. So, but it is that sort of activity as well, and of course the Russians will want to try and find out as much as possible as they can what's going on this island, so that they can potentially nullify that. But it's a slightly double-edged weapon. As I said earlier, NATO will want to demonstrate what they're doing, and they're serious about it, so that it is another part of the NATO deterrence against the Russians. No doubt, there would be a lot of air capability, fighter jets, bombers, drones, long-range drones. It's an ideal place to launch them off from. They're further enough from the front line to be protected by the sort of airspace and ground space in between it. No doubt, also, it is an ideal place to station equipment and troops who might be needed to support into the Baltic states, because actually getting there by sea in numbers is probably easier than getting them there in numbers, across the mainland, across Europe. So I expect a whole host of capabilities, and as I say, the intelligence gathering capabilities that are no doubt on the island will be there, will be key to be able to command and control these type of operations. What is going on underground on the island, again, we probably won't know about, but no doubt that'll be pretty extensive as well. If one looks at the sort of scenario painted earlier, it's a sort of massive aircraft carrier. Then you can get air assets there pretty quickly, and actually, troops and transport assets there pretty quickly, and naval assets with military hardware too. So yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, as it were. Although you can position extra jets and drones there pretty quickly. And it's I think a lot of it is the psychological deterrence indication to the Russians that we're absolutely serious. And when you look at it, I look at it with a hard military sort of head on, and you always try and put yourself in the position of the enemy. If I'm Putin and I'm now looking west, when I looked west 3 years ago, there was no Finland, there was no Sweden in NATO, and I would have thought, well, that northern flank is pretty weak. If I'm going to do anything, I would fly through there, because if I come further south, I've got the Baltic states, who have always been very robust, and then you've got Poland, and obviously Ukraine, and then behind that you've now got the Germans, who are at last waking up to the requirements. So I think it really gives them some serious problems. And actually, you think virtually the whole Russian army has been committed to this fight in Ukraine. Although there's a lot of talk about them building up forces, on the Finnish border, etc. But it seems, I'm not quite sure where they're getting all these additional forces from. There's a report today out, widely in the media that there have now been almost 1.5 million casualties in this war, the majority to the Russians, and that's manpower. That's not tanks and everything else. So I think the key thing is just showing what a strong northern flank, strong shoulder it is, and it's not just the potential million men and women the Finns can put in the field pretty quickly. The Swedish army is very modern, very capable. And then you've got these bases like Gotland that allow them to project power forward. So I think it's a very significant element. And the fact that NATO are making a thing about it is, I think it's very, deliberate, really trying to show Russia, this is a hard, solid shoulder. Don't even think about coming here.